You ready?
Crazy fun. What are you thinking about this resolution?
You want to do it? Okay. You know what? That's not a bad idea.
Well, it's little past 7:30. Welcome you all to the Milton City Hall. And I'm going to open the meeting of the Milton Common Council for May 21st, 2019 to order. The first item on the agenda is the roll call.
Kuhn,
Here.
Burke,
Present.
Buzard,
Here.
West,
Present.
Olson. Here. Ramsey,
Here.
Sullivan.
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
all present.
Okay, the next item is the comments from the citizens present. It's limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Anybody who wants to speak? Go ahead. There are some seats up front if you'd like to come, please. There are several seats in the front row.
Good evening. Well, is this on?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. I'm Deb Weitzel, 6602 Whittlesey Road, here in Middleton. I'm a member of the Sustainability Committee, and I have 2 comments tonight. The first is an update of last night's Sustainability Committee meeting. In light of MG&E's recent announcement that the company is committed to be carbon neutral by 2050, there was discussion of how their commitment of carbon neutrality does not commit the company to be totally reliant on 100% renewable energy. However, within the same time frame, the City of Middleton does have a commitment to be 100% reliant on renewable energy. Being that MG&E serves 99% of Middleton, we plan to ask them what their plan is to help us meet our energy goals for sustainability. My second comment begins with a quote by Olga Evans. You can argue all day about whether one person not using straws or going vegan makes a global difference. The point is the mindset. We need to change our thinking from this idea that the earth is a bottomless pit of resources and start acting like what we do matters. Changing the philosophy of cultures and societies starts with individuals changing their own hearts and minds. That's the importance of grassroots action. It is not that my composting will empty landfills of food waste, but my changed mind and heart may influence others. And that could spread and change the world. Chris Koenig, Deb Sager, and Kathy Olson are being honored tonight for their long service on the Sustainability Committee. The last time I was here, we reminded the Council of the myriad of accomplishments of this committee due in large part to these long-serving members. They have made a difference in this community and this part of the world by their changed mind and heart, and have influenced so many others to do the same. Thanks to you, Chris, Deb, and Kathy.
Good job. Anybody else who wants to speak? Go ahead. Right.
Hello, I'm Peg Lyons, and I live at Pondview Court in Middleton. And I appeared before the council at your last meeting, and I spoke about a citizen meeting that was held on May 4th. There was a very large turnout at that time, and the issue was regarding the flooding situation at Tiedemann's and Stricker's Pond. I asked the council at that time that they address this situation as soon as possible. And today it's exactly 9 months since the huge storm occurred, and we had hoped that this issue would have been on your agenda this evening. Last Wednesday, on May 15th, the Water Resources Management Commission unanimously approved a recommendation to the council to send out an RFP, the purpose of which to seek ways to reduce flooding in our ponds. And at this time, I'd like to ask, what can I tell my neighbors about how the city is going to address the high water levels, and when can we expect you to take some action? Thank you.
Thank you, Peg. So, yes, go ahead, Emily.
Emily Kuhn, 2425 Middleton Beach Road. I want to thank the city for hosting the Art Walk this past weekend in downtown Middleton with the 28 artists. We were notified that the volunteers were notified that almost 1,600 people attended the Art Walk on Saturday. So I was there and I saw so many of you guys, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Anybody else who wants to speak? Okay. So I'm going to close that part of the meetings, and we're going to go to the public hearing, and it's beyond 7:32. So the first one is La Casina LLC doing business as Casina Real is requesting a Class B fermented malt beverage and Class B intoxicating liquor license. They are located at 2518 Allen Boulevard. Anybody who wants to speak? Anybody who wants to speak? Okay, I'm going to close that part of the public hearing and move on to the next one. This is the renewal applications for 2019-20 of Class A and Class B intoxicating liquor Class A and Class B fermented malt beverage and Class C wine licenses. It's a yearly thing which we do. Anybody wants to speak in favor or against?
Not
Okay.
not a speaking for or against, just a quick question. Do we know approximately how many companies are on the renewal applications list?
Maybe 60.
Around, okay. Ballpark was good enough. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close that part of the public hearing. We are going to move on to the presentations. This is an exciting day in Middleton here, and the first one is Mayor Zonentag's portrait. How do we handle it? Would Kurt Zonentag and Chris come forward?
Should just put it on the desk?
Or just put it in the desk? Whatever you want, so.
That's the grand unveiling.
Da-da-da. We do jobs.
Okay.
Okay, so do we? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go.
Oh.
In that same pose, Kurt.
Congratulations. Soon to be adorning the wall.
Did you intend this thing to fill up that whole wall?
Congratulations. Now our city is blessed with wonderful citizens with a lot of talent, lot of skills, and they have been doing a phenomenal job for this city for a long time. We are going to honor some of the longest serving members today, and the process will be we honor one at a time. And I would like that person to stand up, maybe their family and friends as well, and we will read the proclamation and they come forward, and I will do the presentations. So we will start with Dr. John Wagenke. Honoring Dr. John Wagenke's long-time service to the city of Middleton on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Whereas Dr. Wagenke has faithfully and honorably served the city of Middleton and the Zoning Board of Appeals for the past 30 years.
Wow.
And whereas Dr. Wagenke has served as the board's chairman since 2000, during which time he ran meetings efficiently while exhibiting kindness, empathy, and fairness to applicants and other board members with whom he served. And whereas during his service, Dr. Wagenke has participated in the deliberation of over 100 zoning variances. And whereas over the years, Dr. Wagenke has drawn from his experience to offer a variety of practical suggestions for improving the city's zoning ordinances, some of which remain on the planning department to-do list. Abby is working on those. Whereas, because apparently attending dozens of zoning board of appeals meetings wasn't enough for him, over the years, Dr. Wagenke has attended Plan Commission and Common Council meetings for matters pertaining to his interest in the Cardinal Crest Land Development District in the town of Westport. And whereas, although we will miss his presence at zoning board of appeals meetings, Dr. Wagenke is always welcome to grace us with his presence at Planning Commission, Common Council, and other city meetings. Whereas Dr. Wagenke's service has played an important role in ensuring our city continues to be a model community for Dane County of Wisconsin and for the country, and now therefore, I, Gurdeep Brar, Mayor of the City of Milton, do hereby proclaim, honor, and commend Dr. John Wagenke for his distinguished tenure of public service to our community. The City of Milton is fortunate that Dr. Wagenke has served this community so as to leave an enduring legacy of success. On this 21st of May 2019, we extend our thanks and best wishes and those of the residents of Milton for Dr. Wagenke's continued well-being and his valuable service to our community. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of Milton Common Council on 21st of May 2019. So motion to accept or adopt.
Motion to adopt.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Talk to me when you have some health issues. Great job. Congratulations. Okay. Wonderful. Now, the second longest serving member is Pat Finnerty. Would you please come forward? Honoring Patrick Finnerty's service to the City of Milton on the Police Commission. Whereas Patrick Finnerty has faithfully and honorably served the City of Milton and the Police Commission for the past 25 years. Whereas through Patrick's knowledge, experience, and hard work, Milton has benefited immensely. And whereas during Patrick's tenure and leadership on the Police Commission, 3 police chiefs have been hired. Numerous police command staff promotions have been made. The diversity of the department has increased, so that the department now more accurately reflects the population of the residents of our community. When you probably started, there were no women on the police force, and now we have we have several police officers from different ethnic groups as well. So, whereas Patrick's thoughtful and dedicated service has been of great value to the Police Commission, now therefore I, Gurdeep Brar, Mayor of the Milton, do hereby proclaim, honor, and commend Patrick Finnerty for his distinguished tenure of public service to the City of Milton on the Police Commission. And you may not know, Police Commission has a lot of power. Those are the ones who are the police officers, police chief, all of those. So this proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Milton Common Council on the 21st May of 2019. Need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Next one is Rob Conheim. Honoring Robert Conheim's service to the City of Milton Airport Commission, which has been in the news for a long, long time, isn't it? So, whereas Rob Conheim has faithfully and honorably served the City of Milton and the Airport Commission for 15 years. And whereas Rob's first commission meeting on June 23, 2003 was a formative one for Milton Municipal Airport because it featured discussions about runway obstruction, construction plans, design and ownership of the terminal building, and the process of accommodating private hangar development. And whereas during his tenure, Milton's airport blossoms from a small general aviation facility serving mainly flight school students to one that accommodates around 40,000 annual operations and is home to about 94 based aircraft. And Mark keeps telling me this is the second largest in the county, thereby providing evidence that the airport's expansion was not just a pilot project for the city. And whereas Rob served on the commission in a manner that was thoughtful and forward-thinking, while at the same time he could be counted on to deliver or appreciate a good pun. And whereas toward the end of his last term, Rob acquired a personal vehicle that can accelerate faster than most of the planes based on the airport, which seems entirely filling for a person who also holds a private pilot's license, although we trust he won't forget which one he's operating. And whereas Rob's service has played a important role in ensuring our city continues to be the model community for Dane County for Wisconsin and the country. So this proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Milton Common Council on 21st of May, 2019. So need a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So motion passes. Proclamation and the class. The others had gotten their class before. Congratulations. Hank Simon. You may not know about Hank Simon. Hank is here, right? I saw him come. Okay, well, we will read it in any case. So many of you may not know that Hank is a West Point graduate as well as MIT graduate. He has done a great job here. So honoring Hank Simon's service to the City of Milton on the Community Development Authority. Whereas Hank Simon has faithfully and honorably served the City of Milton and the Community Development Authority for 15 years, and whereas Hank has utilized his knowledge of Milton to enhance the decision-making process of the Community Development Authority, And whereas Hank's service has played an important role in ensuring our city continues to be the model community for Dane County, for Wisconsin, and for the country. Whereas Hank's thoughtful and dedicated service has been of great value to the Community Development Authority. Now therefore, Gurdeep Rai, as the Mayor of City of Middleton, do hereby proclaim, honor, and commend Hank Simon for his distinguished tenure of public service to the City of Middleton on the Community Development Authority. Need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Well, we are going to. Now the other distinguished service is Dave Baltus. Dave and his distinguished hat. Honoring Dave Baltus' service to the City of Middleton on the Water Sources Management Commission, Stormwater Utility Board, and the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Commission. He has been everywhere. That's wonderful. Whereas Dave has faithfully and honorably served the City of Middleton and the Water Sources Management Commission for the more than 11 years, 2008 to 19. And whereas Dave has faithfully and honorably served the Stormwater Utility Board since its inception for more than 4 years. Whereas Dave has faithfully and honorably served the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Commission for more than 14 years. Whereas Dave has been a strong supporter of park development, provided leadership in youth sports, and shared his time, enthusiasm, and expertise providing opportunity for all. Whereas Dave has aided in the development of Harvey John and Lucille Taylor Memorial Park, serving as not only a strong supporter but a conduit to Cardinal Youth Football. And whereas Dave's service has played an important role in ensuring our city continues to be a model community for Dane County, for Wisconsin, and the country. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Middleton Common Council on 21st of May 2019. Need a motion to adopt.
Move adoption.
Need a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Dave will be missed. Chris Koenig. I have known Chris for a long time, ever since we started together on the Sustainability Committee. Honoring Chris Koenig's service to the City of Middleton on the Sustainability Committee, whereas Chris Koenig has faithfully and honorably served the City of Middleton and the Middleton Sustainability Committee since its inception in 2008. Whereas Chris's knowledge and expertise have shaped the committee and guided the city's sustainability initiative for the past 11 years. Whereas Chris has been a leader on several key projects, including drafting and adoption of the Sustainability City Plan, water rate structure modification, to sport conservation, establishing the MedDrop, and adoption of the 100% clean energy resolution. And whereas Chris is an innovator, bringing forward the initial suggestion to start the Clean and Green event, which ultimately led to the establishment of the permanent Middleton Recycling Center, which ultimately improved recycling opportunities for all 20,000 Middleton residents. And whereas the invaluable expertise that Chris has brought to the committee, especially as it relates to recycling, food, fair trade, and environmentally friendly products and processes, whereas Chris' style in meeting has been to provide a recommendation with a large measure of forethought, facts, and data, and when needed, an occasional dose of brutal honesty. And whereas, well, Abby knows you well, doesn't she? Whereas the city staff and fellow committee members have consistently been impressed by Chris's ability to conceptualize ideas and then to tackle a lot of hard work beyond the scope of a typical committee members to actually get things done. That's what Sustainability Committee has been doing with a very little budget. Whereas Chris is a lot of fun. And, whereas Chris's presence at the committee meetings will be missed greatly by her colleagues and other attendees, but possibly most of all by the city staff, including Abby. So need a motion to adopt.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Congratulations. Deb Sager. I remember the early days of Sustainability Committee. The members were hard to find, and well, Deb Sager came forward. So, honoring Deb Sager's service to the City of Middleton on the Sustainability Committee. Whereas Deb Sager has faithfully and honorably served the City of Middleton and the Middleton Sustainability Committee since its inception. Deb's knowledge and expertise have shaped the committee and guided the city's sustainability initiative over the past 11 years. Deb has been a leader on several key projects, including draft and adoption of the Sustainability City Plan, water rate structure, establishing the MEDDROP, the adoption of the 100% clean energy resolution, and whereas no one has doubted Deb's wholehearted commitment to sustainability in all forms, especially after she inquired about recycling options for 1 tablespoon of expired olive oil she found in her kitchen cupboard. Well, Abby knows a lot about you, more than you think. So. And whereas Deb is not afraid to roll up her sleeves to get the work done, as evidenced by the duration in which she has stood next to the 14 cubic yard dumpster sorting materials while donning a neon yellow traffic safety vest at clean and green events. And whereas in addition to all of the work Deb has done in events and meetings, she has also brought the workload home, going above and beyond the call of duty for a committee member in every way. Deb even used her own garage as a temporary sorting facility after recycling events, possibly causing her husband Chris some level of discontent. He's happy now, so. Whereas city staff and fellow committee members have consistently been impressed by Deb's ability to quietly gather information, weigh the data, and the comments from other committee members, and then translate that information into committee recommendations that are practical while also being progressive and innovative. Whereas as if the work wasn't enough, Deb has given the city an incredibly parting gift by carefully documenting every sustainability initiative the city has undertaken since 2008. And whereas Deb has done all of the above with the utmost kindness, and whereas Deb's presence in the committee meetings will be missed generally by her colleagues and other attendees, and possibly most of by the city staff. This proclamation was adopted on May 21st, 2019. Need a motion to adopt.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Kathy Olson. Kathy wears so many hats. Proclamation honoring Kathy Olson's service to the City of Milton on the Sustainability Committee. Whereas Kathy Olson has faithfully and honorably served the City of Milton and the Milton Sustainability Committee since the early stages. And whereas Kathy's knowledge and expertise have shaped the committee and guided the city's sustainability initiative over the past 10 years. Whereas Kathy has been a leader on several key projects, including drafting and adoption of the Sustainable City Plan, water rate structure, establishing the Milton Recycling Center, establishing the MedDrop, and above all, the adoption of the 100% clean energy resolution. Whereas Kathy is a connector of people, always knowing who to talk to and where to go in order to get things done. And whereas when making connections fails, Kathy simply rolls up her sleeves and gets it done herself. And whereas city staff and fellow committee members have consistently been impressed by Kathy's ability to understand complex issues, seek compromises where disagreements lie, and see projects through to the finish. Kathy's presence at sustainability meetings will be missed greatly by her colleagues and other attendees. This proclamation was adopted at the regular meeting of the Milton Common Council on the May 21st, 2019. Need a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
All right. Need a second?
Second.
Second.
We have an artist here, Phil Nelson. Phil Nelson not only taught art to the kids at the high school, at the primary school, but he did a lot of great work. You probably remember one of his art projects right in the green space there. Honoring Phil Nelson's service to the City of Milton on the Arts Committee. Whereas Phil Nelson has faithfully and honorably served the City of Milton and the Milton Arts Committee for 8 years. And whereas Phil's creativity and his passion for the arts have strengthened the Arts Committee's projects and events. And whereas Phil's background as an educator has enabled him to explain the value of public art in differentiating our community, invigorating public spaces, and bringing economic value to Middleton. And whereas, as an artist himself, Phil has been willing to share his creativity with the city in several ways, including installing the temporary sculpture in the green space next to City Hall and rendering the concept for a sculpture on public land near Valencia condos in downtown. Is that your project now too? I see there's another art project, but well, anyway, yeah. Anyway, whereas Phil has been a steadfast supporter of local artists and has supported the Arts Committee's efforts to establish an artist in Middleton directory, and whereas Phil has played an active role in the efforts of the committee over the past 8 years and will be missed on the Arts Committee by his colleagues and by city staff. Now, therefore, I, Gurdeep Brar, Mayor of City of Middleton, do hereby proclaim, honor, and commend Phil Nelson for his distinguished tenure of public service to the City of Middleton on the Arts Committee. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Middleton City Council on May 21st, 2019. Need a motion to
So moved.
I'll second it.
say aye?
Aye.
Phil is retiring from school and we got all the retirement plans going ahead in south.
Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina.
Oh, enjoy.
And the last one is from the Tourism Department, Zoe Schuler. Is she here?
I don't see her, no.
Okay, well, we will go ahead and read the proclamation. Honoring Zoe Schuler's service to the City of Middleton on the Middleton Tourism Commission, Zoe Schuler has faithfully and honorably served the City of Middleton and the Middleton Tourism Commission for the past 5 years. And whereas through Zoe's marketing expertise, meeting and event experience, and commitment to tourism development, Middleton has benefited tremendously. And whereas Zoe's service has played an important role in enduring, our city continues to be a model community for Dane County, for Wisconsin, and for the country. And whereas Zoe's business acumen and dedicated service have been integral to furthering the mission of the Tourism Commission. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Middleton Common Council on 21st May 2019.
Motion to adopt the proclamation.
Need a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So last time we had a picture of all the honorees. Should we have one that again? We can do.
Sure.
So all the honorees, if you come forward, we can have all meeting, one picture together.
Well, there you go.
To be a challenge, scrunch out. Thank you, Rob. Good move. Good job, good looking group. Mayor, could we move George Lamprobus?
Yes, yes. Okay, we are going to honor somebody who has made a huge difference in the education in our community here. And that's George Mavroulis. Would you please come forward? Well, I got to know George the first time when my son Victor, who is here on the faculty at UW, he was in 3rd or 4th grade, long, long ago. Proclamation honoring George Mavroulis, great friend of the city of Milton. Whereas in his role as principal, assistant superintendent, and superintendent in the Milton Crossplain Area School District for the past 27 years. George has always upheld the highest personal and professional standards of excellence in his dedication to a better community. He expansively viewed his role as one of the community leaders, not bound solely to his job with the school district. And whereas through George Mavroulis and our entire community's efforts, Milton was named by Money Magazine, CNN as America's best places to live in year 2007 for communities with no more than 50,000 in population, as well as the top 10 ratings in 2005, 2009, and 2011, where the quality of the school district was prominently mentioned. And whereas George's exceptional work with the city of Milton includes support for the development and growth of Milton Youth Center, collaboration with the Milton Police Department on the School Resource Officer Program, leadership for the school district's involvement in the Middleton Municipal Airport, shared solar project, support for the educational partnership with the Friends of Pheasant Branch Conservancy, board membership with the Milton Outreach Ministry, and leadership of the successful referendum of the expansion and redesign of the high school campus. And whereas our community's partnerships, collaborative and cooperative efforts have George Mavroulis' fingerprint all over them. He is truly a dedicated public servant, and he and his contribution to our community are priceless. George is a community treasure. Now, therefore, I, Gurdeep Brar, Mayor of Milton, do hereby proclaim June 4th, 2019, which is probably his last day, as George Mavroulis Day in the city of Milton. Oh, well, that's the party. Yes, all right, the party. We are coming, so. And on behalf of the city, I thank George for his community leadership, passion for excellence, and proven success on behalf of the Milton Crossplain Area School District and the greater Milton community. On behalf of the city of Milton, we wish George a smooth transition to his retirement in North Carolina and continued great health, happiness, and success for the Mavroulis family and their new community. Undoubtedly, our loss is North Carolina's gain, but we are fortunate to have had George in our midst since 1992. Need a motion to adopt.
Approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, George. George is always smiling, happy, cheerful, always making a difference.
It's all because of Lisa.
Try not to kick your feet out from underneath you.
Well, we have last proclamation is the honoring Girls on the Run of South Central Wisconsin. Do we have somebody here? All right, wonderful, wonderful. All right. Honoring the Girls on the Run of South Central Wisconsin. You want to say your name? Yeah, thank you, Christine. Whereas the Girls on the Run 5K held on Saturday, June 1st at Milton High School in Milton, Wisconsin, serve as the culminating event of the spring 2019 Girls on the Run season. And whereas Girls on the Run of South Central Wisconsin is serving 1,075 girls and 300 volunteer coaches in our 8-county territory during the spring of 2019 season. And whereas generous support from sponsors, donors, and friends providing Girls on the Run the opportunity to eliminate economic barriers to participation and award over $20,000 in scholarships this season to participants and families with financial need. And whereas Girls on the Run seeks to inspire girls to be joyful, healthy, and confident as we envision a world where every girl knows and activates her limitless potential and is free to boldly pursue her dreams, to which I completely agree. And whereas Girls on the Run of South Central Wisconsin is celebrating serving 14,000 girls in our region since 2005. And whereas anyone wishing to participate or support the Girls on the Run 5K can register at this website. On the day of registration is available starting at 9. Now therefore I, Gurdeep Barar, Mayor of City of Milton, and the Milton Common Council commend Girls on the Run of South Central Wisconsin for working to inspire girls to be joyful, healthy, and confident by envisioning a world where every girl knows their potential is able to pursue her dream. We hope for a successful Girls on the Run 5K and encourage all Milton residents to attend the first day of June 2019. This proclamation was adopted at a regular meeting of the Milton Common Council on 21st May 2019. Need a motion to adopt.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Okay. So we are on to licenses. So,
Safe Communities present.
pardon me?
Under presentation, there's a Safe Communities presentation.
Oh, Safe Communities presentation, yes, you are absolutely right. Let's go on to the Safe Community presentation. Thank you. I apologize, I just,
Problem. Thank you. Hi. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be here tonight. This is a tough act to follow, hearing all these fabulous stories of service over the decades. My name is Cheryl Whitkey. I am Director of Safe Communities. And we've been really delighted to partner with the City of Middleton on lots of initiatives over our last 20 years. And I really just wanted to sort of point out our collaboration. Thank you for the opportunities to work together, and congratulate you on the great work that we know and we point to at Safe Communities, the work that's happening in Middleton. So I'm just going to point out that we've been around for 20 years, and I'm sharing our 20-year report with you. And if you turn to about the middle of the report here on page 8, I just want to sort of highlight some things that we've accomplished together. So Safe Communities looks at the top causes of injury in Dane County. It's a World Health Organization model. We have colleagues doing similar work, for example, in places like Nebraska, and they're working to prevent rattlesnake bites. So, I mean, it just sort of depends on what the issues are. In Dane County, we know that they're related to the opioid overdose epidemic that we're experiencing here. Suicide, traffic crashes, and elder falls. And so we are a collaborative of about 350 organizations working together to address those top causes of injury. And I want to point out that Chief and the Senior Center and Fire EMS have been really valued partners in the work that we've done throughout our 20 years. I was excited to hear about the MedDrop. You know, you were one of 2 of the first MedDrop programs in Dane County. We now have 14. And you really launched it here and showed the rest of the county how it was done. So Safe Communities sort of manages that collaboration, but it was really thanks to the leadership that you all in the police department in particular were involved in. So over the last 20 years, we have distributed about 14,800 slow down yard signs. That's one of our projects.
Yes.
We had among our first kickoffs here in Middleton with the Middleton Police Department. We've disposed of about 18 tons of unused, unwanted medications through the MedDrop program, 18 tons.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We know that 75% of folks who are new initiatives of opioid use start with getting drugs from somebody that they know, with or without asking. So getting these medications out of the home is a critical endeavor if we want to prevent more harm. We offer about 228 classes annually, including the Stepping On class, which is an elder falls prevention course. And I don't know if the senior, hi, Tammy. We're having a class in Middleton starting this summer, and are really delighted to be partnering with you on that. That's been shown to reduce falls among elders by 30%. So we tend to think of falls as being an inevitable part of aging. It really isn't. There's an awful lot we can do to prevent falls. We are also really reaching out to make sure that our efforts reach all members of the community. So we have a special effort to reach out for falls prevention among the African American community, and are launching something called Chicago Stepping, which is a special class that the African American community has embraced in Chicago and are bringing it here in Dane County to get people excited about falls prevention. We also have an African American opioid coalition that's working to prevent opioid abuse among African American community members. And we have an Alive at 25 class, which is one that I know the Middleton Municipal Court has referred folks to. If a young driver has a GDL violation or a speeding ticket, they can be referred to the class, and it improves driving. It's a really outstanding course. So those are just some of the efforts. A couple other things I want to point out we were the first organization in the country, in the state, and in Wisconsin to launch a recovery coach project. So we have people who are in recovery from opioid addiction that have been in recovery for a year, go to the emergency departments after they've received training, and they work with people who've overdosed to get them into treatment. And we have about a 90% referral to treatment experience with that. We also have launched a jail to recovery project and a pregnancy to recovery project that's based on the same model. And then we are working very hard on suicide prevention. We've seen a significant increase, alarming increase in suicides in Dane County. We have the QPR, Question, Persuade, Refer class, which is open to anybody, and we'd be delighted to offer one in partnership with you. shows everyone how to recognize signs and symptoms that somebody may be considering suicide and how to respond, not as a counselor, but as a friend, as a peer. We also are the only place in the country that's working with gun shops to give people an opportunity to store guns if they are experiencing a suicidal crisis. And we have a partnership with healthcare to refer people directly to gun shops to be able to store their guns safely if they're experiencing a crisis. So those are just some of the projects that we're engaged in. Again, I want to thank Middleton for your leadership, both government agencies and, of course, the citizens of Middleton. We just saw how impressive the work is that's going on here on all levels. And I just want to extend an invitation, and I want to say this, with all sincerity, that we will never be a pay-to-play sort of organization. But we have experienced funding cycles with grants coming and going. We've launched a membership campaign. We're inviting municipalities, if they're interested, to contribute an annual membership fee to Safe Communities. If you're interested in that, I just bring it up now in case you would like to think about it for future budgets, and I'll leave information with you if that's okay to consider, in your future budgets. We have a number of municipalities that are engaged in this. Village of Cambridge, City of Madison, lots of different municipalities. So we invite you to be part of that if you're interested.
I think
Thank
it's
you.
very impressive what you're doing. 90% treated for overdose, 78% increase in pedestrian yield rates at crossing. That's all great. Wonderful. Thank you. All right, now we're on to licenses. La Cocina LLC, Cocina Real is requesting a Class B fermented malt beverage and Class B intoxicating liquor license located at 2518 Allen Boulevard.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. So the next one is the renewal of applications for 2019-20 Class A and Class B intoxicating liquor, Class A and Class B fermented malt beverage, and Class C wine licenses.
Move approval contingent upon proper paperwork turned in to city clerk.
Second.
Any questions? Of all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. So item number 3, application for expanded premises by a Class B retailer, PBB Middleton LLC, Point Burger, 2259 Deming Way, Brian Ward agent, utilizing proposed plan PBB01 and PBB02.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions or concerns? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes. Application for expanded premises by Class B retailer Capital Brewery, 7734 Terrace Avenue.
Approval.
Second.
Any questions or concerns? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion passes. On to approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Agreements. Item number 1, sales agreement with Comtech Solacom Technology Incorporated Next Generation 911 telephone system.
Move approval is recommended by finance.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor of approving this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 2, amendment to the agreement dated January 17th, 2019 with Beerbacher for construction engineering services for Donnan Drive sedimentation pond.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor of approving this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Item number 3, amendment to agreement dated November 8, 2018 with MSA Professional Services for construction engineering services for Pheasant Branch Creek tow protection downstream of Park Street.
Move approval.
Second.
Now, we didn't defer it, right? Nope. Okay. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Item number 4, amendment to agreement dated November 8th, 2018 with MSA Professional Services for FEMA document preparation services for Pheasant Branch Creek tow protection downstream of Park Street.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? All those in favor of approving this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Next one is the amendment to agreement dated November 8th, 2018 with MSA Professional Services for additional engineering consulting services outside of the original scope for the Pheasant Branch Creek tow protection downstream of Park Street.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor of approving this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. We are on to award of bid, quote, and professional services. Number 1, award of quote to Wick Craft for the Milton Hills Boardwalk.
Move approval.
Second.
Any
questions or comments?
Just
Yes?
I just wanted to make sure that, is my math correct? There's like a $64,000 some dollar amount, and then there's also a $53,000 amount? Is that the total come up to?
It's still less than 120, so,
Yeah, but it's about 118.5, so.
yep.
What's important to note at this point is all we're asking for approval is the quote from Wickcraft so that they can start production on the boardwalk frames so that we have them in time to do the project later this year. There'll be other approvals that come forward for the additional work. I'm just trying to lay out the groundwork for that we're right at the budget capacity for the project.
Appreciate that, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Sam?
I just have a question about what the boardwalk material will be. Are we gonna stick with the same wood? Are we going with something different that if it does flood again, it won't ruin it again, that we have to replace it?
The original boardwalk that was installed, it was the first boardwalk that the city did, and it was a wood deck boardwalk. We're replacing it with a steel frame boardwalk. The decking will still be lumber. Our concern with flooding isn't the decking as much as it's that support structure that'll be converted to steel with the new boardwalk. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just being a user of the boardwalk. Some of the boards get warped over time, and it's really a tripping hazard for walkers. I'm just wondering if there's a more stable material that the decking can be made of.
We've done a lot of exploration on that, and it's our recommendation to stay with treated lumber at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those that are in favor of this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. We are on to item number 2. Award of bid for Donna Drive pond repair.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments as approved by the finance committee? So, okay, all those in favor of this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously.
Second. Susan was first.
Item number 3, award of bid for tow protection downstream of Park Street.
Move deferral.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? We don't have the money yet, so all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously for deferral. Budget 2019-2020 budget development calendar.
Deferral.
Second.
All those in favor of deferral say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Okay, for item number 2, funding of amendment with EOR for floodplain modeling and mapping to extend study reach to 200 feet north of Century Avenue. This is
Approval
essentially,
is recommended by finance.
okay.
Pay with TID 5.
Second.
Any questions or comments? It is only the funding question here, so all those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. We are on to CSM and plat, item number 1. Preliminary plat review, Conservancy Bend Residences, 2413 and 2421 Parmenter Street.
Approval?
Second.
Any question or comment?
Contingent on resolution of engineering staff and other staff comments following a complete review.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay,
not a full approval.
yes.
Condition.
Contingent.
Yes, yes. Yes, Susan.
I would like to know where their stormwater facility is going.
Okay, go ahead, and John, please explain.
Good evening. So we looked
Identify
at,
yourself and,
yep, John Hepner, Development Manager for T-Well Enterprises. So the stormwater facility is going to be an underground facility that's going to be underneath the surface level parking area. And I believe Jacob Klein had actually just incorporated an underground stormwater retention system as well. Ours is being designed by Veerbicker. Along with that, we'll have an annual maintenance plan to ensure that we're removing the sediment from it properly to make sure that it's properly working, and then it's also going to have an overflow system as well.
Are you talking about, on Jacob Klein's, are you talking about the Stagecoach?
I believe so, yes. That's what we had discussed at the Planning Commission meeting.
okay.
Where's the overflow system going?
It's a separate, it'll either be a separate containment system around it, if you can imagine a large concrete tub essentially, or it will be upsized in the case that there was additional, like a 100-year flood or something like that, just like an above ground system would be designed.
Any other questions for John? Okay, the motion is to approve the preliminary plat review with the conditional review of this plat review. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. We are on to miscellaneous. 3 ponds in North Fork Basin. WRMC recommendation to acquire property for city ownership and maintenance.
Move approval is recommended by finance.
Second.
Could you go over what finance recommended?
Yes.
Because it was very confusing.
Well, no, it's just conceptual, so they're gonna look and see if they could purchase property. They're gonna, what it would cost, they're gonna figure out whether they can do test pits. But this commits the city to nothing other than just an exploration of whether there's sites available and whether there's funding available.
And some testing, right? Some preliminary testing.
Right.
And who's paying for the testing?
Water resources.
Fees in lieu of detention.
Yeah, it is essentially, Gary's here, Gary, you want to say more? Or it just essentially,
I think he's captured it.
okay.
You gotta come up to that.
It's just drilling. How many holes are you planning on drilling? You got 4.
For oil.
We don't have any design or plans yet. We haven't done any RFP for any services yet. But we did not want to proceed with any RFP development or talk to farmers or anything else if the council was not even on board with owning more ponds and being willing to maintain them long into the future. And in this particular case, owning those ponds in the town of Springfield.
Okay.
So it's just, is the concept sound for the council? If so, we'll just start looking for RFPs, seeing what it'll take for logistics to get out there and do some testing to see if infiltration is feasible.
Susan.
Go from there.
So this would be for ponds for the city to maintain in the future.
Right, in perpetuity.
And the primary benefit's going to be phosphorus and solids removal, not flood control.
And we hope infiltration, but that's what needs to be
Which
explored.
infiltration you're defining not is, it's just getting water back into the groundwater, not containing flood water.
To the extent that you infiltrate a portion of that, you do reduce some flood, but
But it's
for
gonna be-
purposes of modeling, we always ignore the benefit of infiltration when you're talking about flood control, because it tends to be a relatively small fraction, and it might fail. So if the infiltration clogs, the water's got to go somewhere. So we tend not to count that.
And are you going to look at the 3 ponds in the previous, identified in the previous study, or?
We keep talking about 3 ponds, but one of the board members has recommended or one of the commission members has recommended we look at a couple other sites just west of Capitol or Capitol View. I always get those two mixed up. Is it Capitol? Sorry. Capitol View. All right, so just west of there, there's a tributary that's coming from the Cross Plains direction east, and possibly that would be another good site.
Any other questions? Gary, I have a question for you. Now, considering the times have changed, flooding is just as important, more important. Would you also consider looking at where this could be phosphorus, TSS, as well as flooding? I mean, flooding is an issue. That's why they have become more important. So you can't, I know the numbers are 6%, 7%, but there may be way where that could be a much bigger number.
It could be a bigger number, but because the land out there is so flat, relatively speaking, you'd have to put the berm up and cover an immense amount of farmland in order to increase that benefit. And it's not out of the question, but it gets very expensive pretty fast.
Okay. Any other questions?
And keep in mind, the study that you may have seen was just a first gloss over look at the possibilities here. We haven't done any in-depth modeling. It was just pretty much a preliminary concept sketch of what it would take, what ballpark we're in. So a lot more would have to go into specifics for whatever sites were selected in order to get very good numbers of what the possible flood control benefit would be.
So that could be higher than what's pointed out there, so.
I wouldn't expect significant gains, but the number will probably be slightly different than what was in the preliminary report.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Any other questions for Gary?
Another thing to keep in mind, the numbers we see are the benefits that the airport property would experience by the time the floodwaters continue down to the confluence area where it's being added with the South Fork tributary. I don't want to say all bets are off, but presumably the benefit will be less than that. You can't quite say it's half, but the modeling would have to show us what the expected benefit would be. But you should expect that it would be significantly lower benefit by the time it gets to the confluence area.
Okay, Emily.
Just a comment. As much as I care about flooding, as our district was hugely impacted, as the whole city was impacted, I do very much care about phosphorus because that's our every year issue. And last year was 1,000-year flooding. So if you have to weigh the two, I do very much care about phosphorus, just as much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion to approve 3 ponds and North Fork Basin Water Source Management Commission recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 2, reorganization of tourism staffing structure.
Move approval.
Second.
Mike, do you want to say anything or just go with it? Anybody
Let's just
has
go
any
with it.
questions or?
Call the question.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Authorization to fill the police officer position.
Move approval.
Second.
Any question or comments? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So item number 4, potential reorganization of Community Services Division Personnel Committee.
Approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I have a quick question, is if
Yes.
Mark's reducing hours, is that gonna be picked up by somebody else?
Yes.
Okay.
There are two positions. One is created through the departure of one of our facilities maintenance employee.
Okay.
Half of Mark's duties would transfer to a new position, as well as the other half being facilities maintenance.
Okay.
So it's a possibly odd combination, but we think it could be done.
Susan?
And then Mark would be retained in a half-time capacity.
Who's going to, since Mark Walther will be working half-time, who will be picking up the duties for if we need road signs put up because of a disaster at 1 a.m. in the morning?
That would stay with Mark. Oh, at 1 a.m. I'm sorry, that's
Yeah.
the catch. That would be the police department.
Is that who does it now?
Well, he's not working at 1 a.m. now, so, yeah, we'd either call him in if he was available, or
So you'd still be calling him in if first?
And would Mark's duties continue with enforcement of ordinances, or would that be the new person?
That'd be the new person. Mark's duties would be, as outlined in the position description, mostly those aligned with the police department that's in his current position, including the traffic, parking enforcement, and a variety of activities on a civil compliance with the police.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve the potential reorganization of the Community Service Division say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. We are on to item number 5. Interpretation of ERU fixed and variable costs.
Move approval is recommended by finance, which is, ERU is $15, everything else is internal.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. The ordinances, first reading, final action may be taken on approval of the motion to suspend rules under section 1.07 of Milton General Ordinances. Number 1. Ordinance rezoning from Highway Business District B3 to Plan Development District General Implementation Plan, Parmenter, Clark Street Properties, Conservancy Bend, 2413 to 2421 Parmenter Street.
Suspend the rules and move to approve.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Any comments? Yeah, with this, yeah, you're approving with taking care of all those comments and things?
It's already has
Okay.
contingencies
Okay.
built into it.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes. Planning, zoning. General Implementation Plan Review, Conservancy Bend Residences, 2413 and 2421 Parmenter Street.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Resolutions. Approving sewer utility 2018 compliance maintenance annual report.
Motion to approve as recommended by Public Works.
Second.
Any question or comments? They had a 4.4 out of 4 and A grade and 100% marks there.
That's pretty good.
Pretty impressive, doesn't get any better. Okay, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 2, 2019-25 Maywood Avenue reconstruction, final assessments.
Motion to approve as recommended by Public Works.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. 29-26 Bristol Street North Avenue reconstruction, final assessments.
Motion to approve as recommended by Public Works.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion to approve the Bristol Street North Avenue reconstruction final assessments, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. Item number 4, 2019-27, amending the 2019 stormwater utility budget.
I'll move approval as amended by Finance.
Second.
Guys need to hear what this is?
Yes.
Please.
Please, Melissa.
So the amendments at Finance were to recommend approval as amended. The recommended amendments include removing the third whereas clause, amending the fourth whereas clause, removing the language, an additional $420,000 in stormwater utility fees in 2019, followed by the passage of a referendum in addition to previously. So that language comes out. Removing the fifth whereas clause, removing the column labeled amended budget, changing the amount in original budget column from $500,000 to $605,000, and changing the column title from original budget to amended budget.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Yes, Susan.
This should have gone to the Stormwater Utility Board instead of coming straight to council, first thing. So I'm disappointed that it didn't. The other thing is, and I've said this before, we have to, going forward, remember that we have an obligation to provide maintenance on existing projects or existing facilities. And when I look at that this year, we're ignoring all maintenance projects. We're just doing flood recovery. So I'm concerned that we're ignoring that, and I hope this doesn't go forward, that we're going to ignore our maintenance responsibility.
Okay, yes, Robert.
I would second that comment. I guess I would certainly recommend to anybody who's listening who might be on stormwater utility that that's something that they strongly consider as they figure out how to prioritize work going forward, is that there's a lot of maintenance work that needs to continue to be done, in addition to the floodwater repair that also needs to be worked on.
I would also like to say that when the flood occurred, the Stormwater Utility Board deferred doing 2 maintenance projects so that we could provide funding for doing assessment of the creek corridor and so on. So we have 2 regular maintenance projects that have already been deferred.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Mike.
I had a question for Susan and Mark. Stormwater Utility Board, actually Mark might not have been at that meeting, on December 18th, made a recommendation for the stormwater utility, but also put 280, I thought, from 2019 funding into flood recovery before
Right.
we knew that there was going to be a referendum that was approved.
Yes, that is
So should the stormwater utility then have on its agenda a recommendation to retract that measure?
No, the stormwater utility recognized the seriousness of the flooding, and that's why we chose not to fund 2 projects and to use those funds for flood recovery.
So what you're advocating is taking the allocation for this year, the
No.
280?
I'm advocating for this needs, when we come up with a resolution like this, it needs to come before the utility. We also need to be committed in the future for doing the maintenance that we're obligated to do. And you quickly look at this and you get an impression that going forward, all we're going to be doing is flood recovery. There's no mention about maintenance.
My point is the storm water utility needs to take action retracting what they had done with the $280,000.
Mike, we are comfortable with what we did this year. Going forward, we do not want to see, or at least I don't want to see, another resolution coming forward for future years ignoring maintenance.
I just want to clarify, was that money, the 280 for 2019 or from 2018?
From 2018,
Okay, so for 2019, your point is that 280 should be respected as
we don't have
towards
anything for
ongoing
29
maintenance projects.
Yeah, we don't have any 2019 maintenance projects.
I think this is an issue that's better determined at the utility board level. We don't need to get involved in the prioritization of the stormy water utility, right? I think you make your case at the utility board meeting and say, even though we're committed to doing these storm remediation issues, we can't forget whatever maintenance
Right.
there is.
And that's,
So we have to prioritize whatever the board thinks
yes,
is
and if this
best.
had come before the board, we could have discussed that.
Okay, so.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
at this point, it's gotta go back to the board for them to prioritize things.
Yes.
And that would be no different than in any other budget cycle.
Right.
So I don't know that this is a big issue, other than you're noting the fact that we have ignored maintenance issues because we're prioritizing storm recovery. Things are cyclical and it will reverse out.
Yeah.
I do have another issue. Melissa, I'm sorry. I think you also have to edit your ending unrestricted net position by the amount you increased your spending.
Any other questions or comments? Well, all those in favor of the motion as approved by the Finance Committee and all other discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Okay, 7-1. We are on to the last item, committee appointments. Anybody, pardon me?
Are you gonna read it?
Yeah.
Appointment of Katie Nelson to the License and Ordinance Committee.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, Katie. And all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So, motion passes, motion adjourned.
No move.
Second that.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion adjourned, say aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, guys. Long day, huh?